If you've bumped into me at a hamfest, you've likely seen me wearing this, which is a Hill People kit bag. It is a chest rig that I usually have swag, a camera, and some other things in it, but it's usually outfitted for carrying radios and other outdoor gear. It is kind of a grab-and-go day kit that I take out when I'm out hiking with the scouts often, and I'd love to show you what I pack it with and some different options for carry if you're so inclined. Anyway, let's get started checking out the Hill People kit bag. This one is the Search and Rescue. There are like 13 different ones on the website, so it may be worth your time to go check this out on their site if you are so inclined. Now, I will mention up front that the rear pocket is usually a flat pocket that can have all sorts of different gear in it. In this case, yes, there is a handgun. I would not normally have a handgun here. Like 90% of the time, it's not carrying a firearm. I usually have a camera or something else along those lines, but it is advertised as being a handgun carrying type of bag, and while it is perfect for that, it also has really good options for those that are interested in radio, or, do both. Anyway, let's go take a look at it on the overhead, and then I'll give you my thoughts to wrap things up. This is the Hill People Search and Rescue medium bag, which means it's about 10 inches across and about 7 inches tall, not including the water bottle pouch. On the outside, there are MOLLE straps on an angle, which I have attached the radio pouch, also Hill People, and there are MOLLE straps on the bottom, which I have attached the water bottle pocket. This is not a full-size smart water bottle. It's, I think, a half liter or 650 milliliters, something like that. And yeah, it holds it really nicely, really tight, and it's fully MOLLE webbed into it. There is a loop, or, hook, the loop side of hook and loop on the front here, which I can put patches, which I've included my logo, Tootsie Pop, and of course my Musubi Ranger Eye, as well as some pins. And yeah, I like to decorate the front of it when I'm at Hamfest. Now, for outside the pouch, I am usually carrying only one of two radios. It's going to be the N76, which is on here today, or the D75 from Kenwood. And yes, this will hold the full fat battery and the Kenwood. Just shove it right in there. It works just great. But N76 is often the one I carry for reasons I will explain a little bit later as we go. And you might have noticed this funky little elbow bracket. What's going on here for the antenna? Well, this is a CAA tail antenna, or the CA tail antenna. And it's a body wrap antenna that goes down the bottom, up through the right side strap, around the shoulder, and then comes back down. Now, for transmit purposes, this is not a DX, VHF, UHF antenna, but it's perfectly fine for picking up APRS beacons and transmitting, in some cases, out APRS beacons, depending on where I'm at and where I'm hiking. It works just fine when you're close in, talking to other folks at Hamfest, or within a couple of miles each other if you're out on a trail, depending on the foliage coverage, of course, right? If there's a lot of trees, then your signal's not going to get out very well. Sitting on the corner doing some APRS, let's see. And yeah, there you go. So yeah, there we go. Body antenna, not fantastic, but works okay. But it makes a really nice package because this just wraps out of the way and you're good to go. In fact, I can show you on the back side. Here's where it comes up, goes around the shoulder here, and then up around the other shoulder. Showing the front, so the very top of the bag, these little quick D-links. I've got this one wrapped around the other strap, but this guy, this is a Cosmo Newt indicator, glow indicator, really, really bright. But these little quick release clips have webbing that come off of it, a loop about yay long, 5 or 6 inches with an adjustment tab. These guys go up through the top of your backpack, and it allows you to kind of lift the weight off of your chest and onto your shoulders, which is really, really nice. And that's something that I don't often do because, to be honest, I just grab this and go. It's got water, you got a couple of snacks, you got first aid, and you got the radios that I care about the most. And that's usually all I need for like a day hike with scouts. That's kind of the direction I go. Now, going through the pockets, I'm going to go through the back first because I think it's the most straightforward, but this is the one where someone would carry a firearm if they had one. In fact, they have Velcro strapping here that you can attach something like a Velcro retention harness for a firearm, right? I've seen Glock 17s in here. I've even seen 1911s, full-size 1911s. Maybe not in the medium, but in the full size. So FYI on that, I will remove this firearm for a second. What it also has is a loop here, like a webbing loop on the bottom. And this allows me to usually, kind of how this rolls is, I don't have the pistol holder in there. I have a handkerchief of some kind. And then I have my Boox Palma e-ink phone, which I just leave like that. And then on top of that, I throw first aid. This is a first aid kit I picked up at Garage Grown Gear. I added some Leuko tape around my old ID card. It's got little tweezers, safety pins, a bunch of Band-Aids. This is also basically Leuko tape, but I've used this actually to wrap up my wife's ankle when she sprained it, as well as also covered some blisters with this stuff. There is a compression bandage, which you could use. It's a SWAT T tourniquet, which you could use in emergency, but I have another more form-fitting tourniquet. This is more for just applying extra pressure if you needed it. But yeah, really small first aid kit. As a side note, if you ever see me at a ham fest, one of the cameras I'm always bringing with me is this DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I usually have my ND filter here and a wide angle filter, and that will often replace the first aid kit and go in the back and just right up against my chest like that. This works great. Really, really good for just quick video shoots if you're going to do something like that out in the field, or like I am often doing when I'm wearing this, I'm at a ham fest, so this is a winner. When you're looking at this, you're not going to be looking at it as though you're a bystander. So why don't I rotate this around so you get the better effect? So now you're looking down at it as though you are the operator, if you will. So now when you open this, you can see, yeah, there's the phone, there's the way the knife lays, there's the handkerchief, and if you wanted to put your firearm back in place, you would just slide it in. I don't advocate putting the knife and the firearm next to each other like this, just for these two things riding together, and also just from safety standpoint, I'd prefer you just had a firearm. But this isn't a firearm channel, this is a radio channel, so I'm doing it more or less just to show that it's possible, and we will leave that on the side. So there you go. Fixed knife, I like this. Rowan Azula, so we'll have links in the video description to that guy. I think I got that off of Amazon, believe it or not. These used to be harder to get. Now you can just get them everywhere. But anyway, yeah, first aid, handkerchief, zipper up. There you go. The pouch that you probably get into the most is this second pouch. And this is where I carry extra tools and other things that I may need while I'm out talking to people at Hamfest. The first, I like to carry this little PoKit pocket meter. This is a Bluetooth AC DC multimeter. It also does some very simple oscilloscope type stuff, and it connects to your phone for that communication. And I carry an extra battery, there's fuses, and there's little probes to be able to connect to different devices. You'd be surprised how many times you're going through a ham fest and you're like, wow, I really wish I had a multimeter, so that just lives there. It could live in this other pocket, though. This pocket right now, and it's more as an example, so let's just swap it out, no big deal, is a very small set of binoculars. These are Pentax FB10 portable field binoculars. Not incredibly powerful, so I think these are 10 by 18, and these are actually a little vintage. They're kind of showing their age a little bit here, but yeah, these are 10 by 18. Kind of cool. Kind of a cool, funky little thing. More of a clout chaser EDC item than usable. A lot of people will carry those monoculars and stuff like that, and that works fine. Or you know, in the world we live in now, you can just use your phone most of the time. So yeah, FYI as a thought for pocketing there. On the left side pocket, a couple of pens, because I do have a notepad. A Sharpie, usually, almost always, will be my Inkzol from Milwaukee. I love these. I like these more than Sharpies. I have like so many of these. I throw these in almost every bag. I have a couple of stylus pens. I think I got this one at DEF CON. And then Handbook, yeah, from our friends at hamstudy.org, Handbook. Second fun radio item, because it's just so portable, is the SenseCap T1000 Meshtastic device. So again, this is kind of a grab and go pack. If you're not carrying a Meshtastic device, well, this is just always on you. You can have this kind of up and going in a moment's notice. The only downside with this, and that's why this USB cable is there, is it uses these magnetic connectors for these prongs to charge and to program it. I found that a little bit fussy, so I ended up just carrying the USB cord in the same pouch. And as backup lighting, this is the O-Light O-Clip Pro. I'd call it the O-Clip 2, but USB-C charging. It has 3 light modes, which is a spot. There's the spot, there's a flood, and then there's red. Really handy little light, and you can clip it to just about anything. And I've clipped it on to the outside of the pouch, onto the strap of the pouch. Works just fine in that capacity. So leave that like that, good to go. And then I added this organizer. Now the back of this is moly. So if you had like a moly solution, which this is a little bulky, let me know. I might do something different here. But this was carrying for a little while the True SDX. The problem with the True SDX is that the buttons are too proud, even when you get the really small buttons. So I ended up just leaving it and going a different way with tool set that I put in here. So I carry some business cards, also a copy of an FCC license. There is a pair of Knipex pliers. These go in conjunction with what's in my pocket, which is the SOG Power Pint. These are great. Everybody should have 1 or 2 of these. I like these guys for heavier work stuff. They make ones that don't have serrations, but I have found that the serrated ones are better in a lot of use cases, particularly because they're small. They bite a little bit better to give you a little bit better grip. It feels like you're lacking leverage here. And so anyway, a thing of Palm pepper spray. These are just EDC friendly pepper sprays. Again, you know, you got cougars in the OC. Got to be careful, so you better pack up. And then an extra charging cable. Not that I carry a battery all the time, but this is a multi-use charging cable, so I carry that as well. All this stuff is usually on Amazon, so I'll try and update the links where possible. If you find me in a ham fest, then this middle section will always have my stickers, so that's an example of that. I like to carry a field notepad. I don't know why I opened this one. I should have left it alone. This is like limited edition. Gemini missions. Look how cool that is. That is so cool. But anyway, yeah. Also, ooh yeah, the Fara J 2-meter roll-up J-pole. This is kind of an example of an antenna I might bring. You will need to bring coax with this one, particularly BNC terminated, so maybe some RG316, for instance. And it's got a nice little hanger bit here for hanging that up against a tree. Very, very easy with the 3D printed little clippy guy. Yeah, great antenna. Would recommend. Have done a video on that in the past, but there you go. So there's another spot here if you wanted to throw something in there, something you were using. A phone could live here depending on the size. You could probably fit, you know what, underneath it here, I think you could probably fit the Hack RF, the Mayhem. Oh, I forgot the OG of things to put in weird spaces. Maybe you don't run the pocket meter, but you take a Flipper Zero. That would live right in that little spot pretty easily, or it could go inside this pouch or over there. That'd be a perfect fit. Yeah, Flipper Zero that thing. The H4M Mayhem could just sit right here, which would be kind of cool. But anyway, so there you go. That's the middle pocket. The pocket I get into the most, aside from maybe the back pocket, if there was a camera in the back, then I would be getting into this back pocket. But yeah, like to align them like that. This front pocket is kind of like my oh shoot pocket, or my very specific use case for outdoorsy stuff pocket. So right on the top, I have this small, portable-ish, more portable, this Snake Staff Systems small tourniquet. It's not as thick as the other tourniquets that you may see out there. It folds up pretty light. You can write the time, which they all can, and yes, there's a Sharpie in there for that purpose. But this clip system, I really like this. If you actually had to use this, which I hope you never have to, when you start getting the windlass down and you're to the point where you're really restricting blood flow, this will break, and it's a glow stick to basically indicate, yeah, you're doing it, you're torquing it, and then it locks into place with that clip, which is a pretty nice setup. But anyway, yeah, you can check it out. I'll put links in the video description to see if that's something you'd like. Anyway, so that lives in the front, really just quick and grab right out immediately out the front. Down the bottom, my favorite thing, always talk about it, tomato line. Love my tomato line. This is cut to size metal twist ties. Absolutely the best. Zip ties in a pouch, a little bag. Little bags are helpful to carry. A lens wipe. I like these guys from Zeiss. On the right side pouch, Noshinku Lavandula. This is alcohol spray, hand sanitizer, lavender flavored. These, if you haven't seen them before, Noshinku, these are reusable, refillable hand sanitizers. So you just pop the top there, shove that guy back in there, and boom, you're back up and running. It smells actually really, really good. They make one that's eucalyptus, which I feel like would keep the bugs away, but I don't know. I can't prove that for sure. On the right side, still here, we've got some of these slick clips. So these are double-sided clips. They open with a gate here in the front and a gate in the back, and it allows you to add or remove gear from these little loops. These slick clips are exactly what's on the webbing holders that would go onto your backpack for the load lifters. On it, I have an orange BB link, so I'll never lose it. When I'm carrying the Kenwood D75, I'm likely going to be connecting with my iPhone instead of the Boox Palma, so that's why I will carry this, and I leave it tethered so I don't lose it. On the right side, this is like just kind of EDC prepper type stuff. I have a Reaper Industries lighter with a bottle opener. Another pen, a Right in the Rain pen. I could probably do without the other pens in favor of this one. This is more of a backup. Fresnel lens for potentially starting a fire or just magnification. These work kind of fun in a pinch. They're fun to have, and they weigh nothing, so I generally pack it. This is a Randall's Adventure Training. Okay, this isn't for everybody. This is a tablet of Right in the Rain paper, basically, with not much else in the back. But if you put the lid back on, there are a bunch of handy cards on table of tangents. This is for trigonometry, determining approximate distance across a river, using a GPS to topo map, some land nav information for ground signals for helicopter or above air view, and then a number of these cards, which a lot of these are more for use with like lens-static compass and a different way of land nav, but it does have declination here, which is, I believe, this one. Yeah. This is magnetic declination correction. So, yeah, these have their own value. I don't know if I need something this big for my purposes. I may swap this out, but for now, it's just a handy thing to have. A whistle. This one's titanium. A compass, which is probably the smallest compass that I would actually consider of use. And let me explain why. So this is a base plate compass, like one you'd have like as a necklace. But what makes this actually functional is the bezel rotates. So you can actually do some rudimentary land nav with this. So you would be able to, depending on how you do orienteering, I'm more of the scouting type where you lay a map down, or you know the direction you're heading and you use the pointer, so we'll say the doghouse in that case, and we want to make sure that we keep north in the doghouse here, and that would be the direction of heading, the way we're going, depending on how you hold it, right? That's something you just have to decide on, depending on your orientation. So keep a ferro rod on a little piece of cord, just in case I drop it. Orange is bright. Ferro rod, good to have. And last but not least, I think this might be the last. Yeah, this is a County Com copper AAA Maritac flashlight. I like this guy. I used to EDC this thing all the time. It's small, useful, has a couple of different light modes. Nothing crazy bright. It's a backup to my O-light that I keep, and the advantage of this guy is you can have a little diffuser that goes along with it. And that's really nice depending on what you're doing. You can leave that on a table. It's generally okay for just pointing at stuff when you're in and around camp. But the coolest part is this is actually glow in the dark. I don't know if that's coming through, but this will light up pretty bright just by leaving the lamp on for a couple seconds. So you can charge it like that, turn it off, and you got a little bit of light, and then always an extra battery, because inevitably this thing's going to turn itself on at the worst possible time, and you'll need a backup. So there you go. That's what I carry. I was thinking about repurposing this middle pack area, and a radio that jumped out to me immediately was the L&R Precision Currahee. I think that might be the one. So you get 40, 20, 15, fantastic band spread. You'd only need to include headphone and antenna and power. The keys here, not fantastic, but it works. But it's flat. It packs flat, so you could get it in there, zip that thing up with a battery or whatever, and then you may have to remove some of the stuff to the right or left there to fill up the space. But yeah, it's a little tight. Yeah, I think you can make it work. You'd have to relocate stuff, but yeah, there you go. You can get some HF in there as well. Now, this look isn't for everyone. I get that. This blue with the red water bottle carrier and the coyote tan radio pouch is insane. I get it. I like dumb colors. I like things that don't really match, all that stuff. If you've seen me before in person, then you know that that's who I am. They have a ton of different muted colors that match other garb. Primarily for backpacking, this is incredibly handy because everything's right here. If you want to put your phone in one of the pockets, you can. If you want to put some snacks in here, you can. Tools that you might access often, a multi-tool or a knife, all go right there. Land navigation, all that equipment that you might want to have in the field. In a backpack, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because you got to go into the belts on the side, or you're reaching for a water bottle pocket. All of that stuff can be kind of frustrating. And in fact, companies that make backpacks have worked for years on creating little side cutouts in the elastic to be able to pull water bottles out, because our arms are just not meant to really kind of work that way to get it in those water bottle pockets. And getting the tool access to the belt, again, it can be a little frustrating. So having a kit bag when you're doing a day hike is really nice, because if you need the backpack for an overnighter, that could include your sleep system, an extra change of clothes, some food, well, then you just throw the backpack on. But everything you need for a day, first aid, a number of other things, can all just be right here up front, and that makes it easy to just grab and go. Obviously, doing radio, I keep my N76 in the front. I do have the hand mic, and there is an antenna that routes around, and that antenna is actually what the handheld is kind of connected to. So even if it comes loose a little bit, it's already connected to it, and I can just snap it back in place. So if you're wondering how do you keep the hand mic from flying off, well, it's actually clipped onto the antenna than it is the strap. So there you go. It's another way. Another good reason why I like this hand mic is my radio's in the pouch, and it's connected to a body antenna, which wraps around the bag and up around my shoulders. I don't want to have to go pull this out and play with it. I just want to pull off the hand mic and be able to use it immediately. So this is the piece that I was waiting for to kind of make this video, is this ability to show off this rig in its kind of complete sense. So anyway, yes, super nerdy. They have different versions that are not colored like this, and if you've waited this far, I have an extra search and rescue bag. What happened was I bought this one years ago, and the shipping got lost. It disappeared, and Hill People just sent this to me. They thought this was gone, and this ended up arriving. So I packed this thing out, and I emailed them and said, hey, I got this bag. Would you like me to send it back to you? And instead of asking me to send it back, they just said, no, keep it. They didn't know who I was. I'm not really in their community or anything like that. And I said, hey, that's really nice of you. Would it be okay if I just give it away? And they're like, sure, it's yours. Do whatever you want with it. So I have a SAR. I think this is a medium. I will send this out. I'll have a link in the video description on the details of how I'm going to give this away. But yeah, would love to say thank you to Hill People. Again, I paid for this, and they threw this one in because of a shipping problem, and now I'm paying it forward to you all. So if this is kind of interesting to you, which I think the search and rescue bag is like the perfect little kind of radio man setup, because you got these MOLLE straps in the front, you got this cool Velcro for adding patches and stuff, and really plenty of space to bring all your extra gear. Anyway, go take a look at Hill People gear as well. Follow the links in the video description. I'm Josh, KI6NAZ. Hope you win this, and until I talk to you again, 73.